Welcome to the Email Marketing Sustainability webinar. As I said, I'm Jacqueline Ewers, the Email Marketing Tech Champion. We were just waiting to check people coming in, giving it a chance for them to sign on, get logged on. I suggested, for those of you who've just joined, suggested if you'd like to say hello to each other in the chat, remember to set it to everyone and just introduce yourself. So I think we can get started with some housekeeping. So as I said, thanks again for attending and welcome. Just a quick reminder that the webinar is being recorded today. I'm lucky, I've got the video and digital content tech champion, Dean Shaw, helping me as my webinar buddy today. Dean will be helping to manage the chat and the Q&A session, and he'll be reminding you to post any questions that you've got in the chat, in the Q&A function rather than the chat, so that we don't miss any of those questions. The webinar should last approximately an hour, and that includes the Q&A session. I'd like to welcome our BSL interpreters today, Naomi and Claire. In addition, the webinar is being live captioned by Maria. Thank you to them. To access, turn off and on the live captions, please use the CC button in the menu. The recording and any links will be circulated to you and also be available on our website in 7 days. Please do ask any questions as they arrive using the Q&A. I'll do my best to answer them. And as I said, please use the chat to say hello using the everyone from the drop down. And you're welcome to use the reaction buttons as we go through. So let's get started. For those of you who don't know us well, the Digital Culture Network offers free one-to-one support and advice to individuals and organisations working in the creative and cultural sector. That's irrespective of Arts Council England funding. You don't have to be in receipt of funding to access our help. We have a team of 13 tech champions, and we cover a range of specialisms which are listed on the form. This is what the form actually, the Ask a Tech Champion form looks like, and this is how you would book in. The bulk of our support is delivered through one-to-ones, and this is how you would book in a one-to-one meeting with one of us. My specialism, of course, is email marketing, but we have a tech champion covering tech champions covering websites, search engine optimization, social media, digital and marketing strategy, CRM, ticketing, e-commerce, analytics. So please do get in touch with us at any time if you haven't already, using this form. No question too big or too small. So on to today's content. So today we're going to look at three main areas. I'm going to start with a quick intro on digital sustainability, and then just focus on three main areas that will help you be more sustainable and more effective. We're always at the Digital Culture Network looking for impact, greater impact. So I've highlighted three key areas that will help you to be more sustainable, but will also help you to engage more, drive revenue, drive engagement. So the three main areas are contact list hygiene, creating emails that are lighter, have a lighter carbon footprint by design, and ways that segmentation and personalization can drive that better engagement and be more sustainable as a result. All three areas create a leaner, tighter, more efficient email marketing strategy, and that's ultimately, no surprises, that is ultimately more sustainable. So I'm afraid my tech champion colleagues are all tired of hearing me say that email marketing is the best performing marketing channel. So I'm just going to briefly run through why it's the best performing channel. It's not just my opinion. It's not just because I'm the tech champion for email marketing. So it's easy to get started. And there are a few are by limited email service providers that can help you create that structure and start sending emails practically instantly. It's cost effective. We know that, from raw digital, for every £1 spent on email marketing, it generates between £35 revenue upwards. So we know that it's cost effective. It's great because you speak to your audience directly. There's an opportunity to build those stronger customer relationships, personalized, direct communication. We know that 93% of email users access their inbox every day, according to Zero Bounce. It's also an own channel. You're in charge, so you don't have to navigate the uncertainty of algorithms. You're in charge of the data, and that relationship is directly with you. It enables you to do segmentation, providing targeted, you drive sales and retention, keeping the audience that you have engaged, and it's all within your own control. And finally, it's great at communicating quite complex messaging. So that's sort of driving donations, support of any kind, and really creating that loyalty that we all would like from our audiences. However, it's a bit of a victim of its own success, and I'm afraid, it's growing. It's showing no sign of peaking as such. You can see from stats from Email Tool Tester, the ease and the benefits that I've just outlined. That way of building customer relationships also means it is a beast. And the current prediction of 376 billion emails per year globally generates more than 150 million tons of carbon dioxide a year. And not only is it growing, so it's a victim of its own success, but it's also, we like it in the UK. So we punch above our weight, as it were. We're doing more than our fair share of emails. We're currently number 5 in the world of countries sending emails every day in their billions. So our figure is, I think, 8.3 billion. And what does that 8.3 billion look like in terms of a carbon footprint? Well, there's some debate about this because the carbon footprint of an email is quite difficult to measure. It varies. An average email might have 0.3 grams of carbon dioxide. So that's your general text emails that you're sending and that are lightweight. A longer text email might be up to 17 grams of carbon dioxide, and an email with an image or an attachment might go up to 50 grams. People are trying to at least estimate the carbon footprint. Mike Berners-Lee, the brother of Tim Berners-Lee, who's credited as the inventor of the internet. So Mike Berners-Lee, he's a writer and researcher on sustainability. He's the latest edition of How Bad Are Bananas? Dean's just going to put the link howbadarbananas.com in the chat for you. They've been trying to pin this figure down, according to current figures, those 8.3 billion emails a day, they generate 2,751 tons of carbon dioxide per day. But if you're anything like me, these figures don't necessarily mean anything. These figures are from the fundraising.co.uk report. Again, Dean will be putting the link in the chat. It equates to over 1 million tons per year that we're generating of carbon dioxide in the UK from our email activity. I tried then to put this to understand it, to try and translate it into, okay, well, what does that actually look like? That 1 million tons per year equivalent of carbon dioxide. Well, if car use, 217,000 cars, annual emissions also generates 1 million tons per year, or 30 to 40 million mature trees. You'd need to plant, you'd need to have those trees to take up that carbon dioxide. Or is the carbon dioxide generated by 79,000 to 166,000 UK households? I think, so having looked at it and thrown a lot of numbers at you, I just think that quantifying the carbon footprint is not the point, it's missing the point. The reason I wanted to do a session on email marketing and sustainability is because there's a few reasons. I started with audience expectations. The audiences expect it and want to see it in the arts, in where values align. And we know this from the audience agency's report, which a higher percentage of audiences surveyed would like cultural organizations to openly share their values on climate and social issues. And from their report, people, especially younger ones and better off families, say that they care whether venues share their own social and environmental values, particularly when it comes to climate crisis. They're more likely to attend if organizations take an active stance on these issues. These figures basically demonstrate that almost half, so around 50% of audiences are more actively willing to engage with organizations that take a visible stance on the climate crisis. And so it's important because our audiences, and I think that will just continue to grow, that trend. Dean's going to post in the chat the full report link so that you can have a look at it if you'd like to delve more deeply into it. For me, it's not only about audience expectations. It is a win-win situation. Putting sustainability first chimes with best practice, and it chimes with best practice for email marketing as well. When you put sustainability first in email marketing or any of your digital marketing, you probably will find that you get better performance, better engagement. It drives income. I think today you'll probably be familiar with many of the concepts and tactics, even if you're not already employing them. So it's a win-win. It's an easy place to start. It's part of a bigger picture. We need to do it collectively. You'll see acting collectively will have an impact. And as I said, it's a great place to start. And I think Mike Berners-Lee puts it better than I do. Every time we take a small step, be that sending fewer emails or carrying a reusable coffee cup, we need to treat it as a reminder that we care even more about the really big carbon decisions. So if you want to read more from Mike Berners-Lee, as I say, we've got the howbadabananas.com link that Dean posted earlier. And there's also a blog that from the carbonliteracy.com that Dean's just going to put in the chat in case you want to read more. So over to you and Dean. And we're going to ask you, how many of you have a digital marketing sustainability policy?
Right, they're coming in thick and fast. I'm going to jump ahead and say no to a lot of these. So far, it's 75% of everybody that's responded has said no. So Only
Right.
5% of people think that they have got one, and 20% of people don't know if they have one, which is maybe not unsurprising.
So that sounds great, doesn't it, Dean? That seems like an opportunity for us to. There seems to be a gap there
Yeah,
that maybe
definitely.
we can help to
There's
find
definitely
some
a
best
gap to plug.
practice.
I think people
Yes,
have just found there's a couple of them that maybe don't know now because they've just changed their answer and they've gone, oh, actually, I don't know. So
it could be any kind of guidelines around
yeah,
a digital marketing, but with a view to sustainability. So yeah, okay. So that sounds as though, Dean, that the majority of people sadly don't yet have a digital marketing sustainability or an aspect of that to their sustainability policy yet. So, and that's really helpful to know. Thank you. So, I'm going to get started with those tactics that I mentioned. And the first one is the contact list hygiene, because I feel that it will probably have the greatest impact for sustainability. It's the most obvious way to reduce waste, to improve performance. So, and to, put sustainability first. So, contact list hygiene is feels like a fancy way of saying just keeping your email contact list full of engaged and active contacts. And or that means, yes, you've got to take out the old and unengaged contacts. Sadly, it's quite clear that people won't unsubscribe automatically from your emails unless you really irritate them. I think there's a lot of sort of passive sitting there, delete it, but won't necessarily unsubscribe, even though it may not be relevant. And let's add in some fresh, engaged, opted in contacts. And there's some tactics around good contact list hygiene that we can just look at. So if you're squeamish, I'm afraid you're going to have to look away at this slide, because we're talking about data decay. And I've taken Sam Taylor Wood's some stills from the video that she produced, which show the decay in action of a bowl of fruit. But email list decay is a natural, gradual decline in the accuracy and relevance of data over time as people, they move, they change jobs, names, preferences, behaviors. So, according to Campaign Monitor, email marketing databases naturally degrade by about 23% every year. Zero bounce put it at even higher. Dean's going to post a link to the email list decay page on Zero Bounce, but the report, they put the figure as high as 28% every year. So probably nearer to that final picture. We need to be aware of data decay because it's not only bad for your open and click statistics, but it's clearly a waste. There's no point in sending emails to people who've disengaged with your brand and messaging. It's just a waste of time and energy, and best to avoid. So, in addition, whilst we know that our non-profit organisations experience higher open rates than so between 30 and 40%. And on the one hand, that's great because they're above e-commerce, they're above business, finance, according to MailChimp. But however, it still means that 60 to 70% are not even opening your email, so they can't be reading your email. So we've still got a higher percentage that are not looking at your emails. So we have to bear that in mind. And I've come up with three steps. So for our contact list hygiene, step one is let's have a look at managing inactive contacts. How could we speak to the right people? How could we make sure we're speaking to the right people? And just to revisit or visit maybe for the first time, the use of the double opt-in and why that's so good for this list, creating great contact list hygiene and making sure you're sustainable. So managing those inactive contacts. So you can, we talk about the reactivation campaign. This is a great example from Hall for Cornwall. It was set up as an automation. I've been inactive for over 6 months, and on their emails, on their email list, and they're just checking in a really light touch way. Oh, you've been keeping a low profile. I have used this several times, but I think it's because it's really positive. It's got a really positive tone. It's not guilt tripping me, but it is giving me, and it's given me plenty of options to respond, keep me in the loop. So stay on the list, give them some feedback. That looks, that feels as though they care. Or if it's time to say goodbye, please, unsubscribe. I really like this one. I think it's just checking in. And these days you can even, I haven't seen any yet, but you can put in this messaging in the aims of greater sustainability. We don't want to keep you on our list. If you've moved away, if you're no longer interested, you're not able to come, whatever it is, I think that would be a legitimate reason, and probably would get more people unsubscribing if really the relationship for them is no longer, for whatever reason, is no longer working. So your definition of inactive will be dependent on your life cycle, your customer life cycle. For example, a festival, an annual festival will have have contact with that customer once, annually, generally, unless they have a program in between the annual festival. So it might be that the frequency of their comms is much more spaced out, and therefore their definition of inactive will not be the same as obviously as a theatre with a different show every night, looking at a shorter time frame of when they're trying to identify their inactive contacts. Personally, I've always struggled removing inactive contacts because I always felt that you'd work so hard to get them on your list, on your contact list. But actually, it is better to have a small group of engaged subscribers than a large group that includes a significant number of inactive contacts. This example from the Watershed Cinema in Bristol, I liked it because although it isn't actually aimed at inactive contact, it is specifically, it's about re-engaging you with. It reminds me, it got my attention because it reminds me of why I signed up in the first place, what they offer. It's asking me to rate some cinema trailers, and who doesn't like to be asked their opinion? And there's a chance of winning tickets. There's some text that goes with it, inviting you to sit down, watch the trailers, have a cup of tea. It's really well pitched, I think. And just if you can tap into that, reminding people what you offer and why it's of value, that can also, I think, reactivate those people who might have lapsed or are on that cusp of becoming inactive. My second recommendation is about speaking to the right people. In a sustainable world, we're trying to make every contact count. So we want to reduce the number of people who aren't listening and who aren't engaged. So when I talk about that, I'm talking about knowing your audience and audience profile, understanding who you want to engage or drive revenue from, aligning your strategy with the nuts and bolts of contact data capture, which I think this example from Remix in London, based in London, have actually done. They've right from the start, they've segmented their emails and it makes it explicit what they're offering. What are they offering? So you know that if you don't tick any of those, you probably shouldn't be signing up to that to their emails. This is the start of the customer relationship, and it's really I think they've got it right. You're in a unique position to build loyalty and a meaningful relationship, sending relevant emails. So they've got cinema, live events for families, 16 to 25-year-olds, a tricky segment to get, and future plans and developments. This is sustainable because it's looking to send segmented segments, specific relevant information, avoiding that one-size-fits-all blanket approach. And here's a nice example, business-to-business example from Arts Professional. Behind this is that strategic alignment that they've been looking for who are their audience, what do they want to offer them, and getting those two things and their contact data capture and getting all those ducks in a row. So in this one, they've worked out that the motivators for their main audience are research findings, sector news, job vacancies, professional development, and funding. And they've fitted them all in those 5 bullet points at the top. And then they've played on a little bit on fear of missing out. Who doesn't want to keep up with what's going on in the sector? So they've really, but behind that very simple sign-up form is quite a lot of consideration about their strategy and how they're going to get to the audience that they want to speak to. If you're thinking, you'd like to revisit any of your sign-up forms or segmentation, please do talk to me. But of course, if you need a bigger overhaul of strategy, customer profiles, getting that alignment, you're very welcome to speak to my colleague, our digital and marketing strategy tech champion, Ollie. Dean's just going to put in the chat how to book a time with Ollie if you need that bigger, more meaty discussion. Step 3 is using that double opt-in that I mentioned. And in the drive for sustainability, I'm aware that it does feel a bit odd to be suggesting to send more emails, but the double opt-in really helps you to keep the quality of those contacts high, and that reduces wastage. Therefore, you avoid the stale email list as much as you can. For those of you not familiar with double opt-in, it's just the process of where the user signs up. It's an automation that you can set up with your email service provider like MailChimp, Digital. It sends a confirmation email to the user, to the individual, and providing that user clicks that confirmation link, says, yes, I really do want to receive information from X or Y, then the account, only at that point is the email account confirmed and activated on your contact list. The reason it's so good is because as I said, it boosts the contact quality, the profile. It ensures subscribers are genuinely interested. With clear consent, you get higher levels of engagement. You get better deliverability, and that guards your sender reputation, which is so important in getting your emails through. And it helps to filter out any spam emails. MailChimp did a study of 30,000 users, and their study showed that double opt-in lists had better open and click rates, significantly better rates. And it's all more sustainable. So, quality over quantity. In this section of lighter by design, we looked at the carbon footprint of individual emails, which does vary. But I think it's important to look at the email itself just to see if there are any easy tactics to make sure that the email itself is at the lighter end of the scale. Because the larger your email, the more storage space it requires, the more energy it takes to send and deliver the message. It also slows down loading and speed of the individual being able to access it, the recipient. So how do we make emails lighter by design? Well, if you can simplify the design in HTML, there are a few tactics here. By focusing on optimizing the balance between the text and images, so 60% text to 40% images. We always suggest to try and keep the messaging concise because inboxes are so busy, and to get cut through is challenging. If you can use a visual hierarchy, this helps keep it nice and clear and tight. And of course, making sure you're mobile friendly. This approach as a set of tactics, it makes sure you use less data, it loads faster, it's more accessible, it's more user friendly. It will increase engagement, and that means it improves readability. The aim is to avoid unnecessary graphics, excessive text. Um, if you It will make sure that all those things underpin also not only engagement but also sustainability. And here are some nice examples from Hay Festival and Autograph Gallery. In your 60% text to 40% image ratio, we try to ensure there's enough text just so that it provides value in case images don't load or if people have chosen a text-only version. So next, of course, we talked about the weight of images, and there are each email service provider, MailerLite, MailChimp, Digital, Campaign Monitor, they all provide their own guidelines and specifications, and they'll suggest the format of the image. But if you're struggling to optimize the image format, there are a couple of Short Pixel and Squoosh can help you do that. And it's the easiest way to reduce email weight by making the file sizes smaller. I've also, on EcoSend, the email service provider, who are, as far as I know, the only email service provider that puts sustainability first, they recommend a few tactics. Theirs are to keep file sizes under 100 kilobytes. Sorry. To use an aspect ratio for images of 16 units to 9 or 4 units to 3. This avoids those very long images, which mean you have to scroll down quite a lot, and also just give it the whole email will have a tighter feel in terms of communication, but it also means they will load faster. That improves the experience for the subscribers. It means that you'll have a more engaged audience. With email, instant is everything. If they have to wait for things, people have to wait for things. Sadly, they're probably more likely to delete it or move on. Emails that load in a flash, they're more likely to get better engagement. And maintaining that 60 to 40 ratio, text to image ratio. There's a link to EcoSend's blog on sustainable content marketing that Dean's just going to post in the chat. So on to our second poll. So Dean, are you there?
Yes, I am. And I didn't self-describe last time round. So for those of you who'd benefit from a description of myself, whilst we get the poll in for what percentage of your emails include GIFs or videos, start your answers now. I am a white man, very obviously absent-minded in my late 40s, in need of a hair transplant, wearing a blue hoodie today. And I can pleased to say that under 25%, well, actually, am I pleased to say? But anyway, I'll share the results of the poll in a minute. But at the moment, Jacqueline, at the moment, under 25% of people, under 25%, it seems to be the most popular by a country mile.
Okay, so most people include an image or a GIF, a video or a GIF, sorry, in about 25% of their emails. That's how I'm reading that.
Yeah, definitely. And then I've shared the results, hopefully on the screen for everyone to see. But as you can see, most of them are under 25%, and then a small amount between 25 and 50, and 50 and 75, and barely any of them are over 75%, just 2%. So, yeah, somebody's already put. I think mine are close to 0 in the chat. So, so it's quite
That's good.
quite revealing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, So you may not need this next set of, but we're just this next bit of guidance. Just we the issue that the conflict is that we statistically video does work in emails, so it does drive can drive engagement. Campaign Monitor reckons that it has measured it and reckons it can increase open rates by just under 20%, click rates by 65%. But when we're putting sustainability first, we just need to make sure that those things are genuinely adding value and that they're relevant. You would have clear calls to action resulting from either the video or the GIF. Prioritizing again quality over quantity. A GIF, my personal opinion about GIFs is, yes, they grab readers' attention, but they are tricky because it's difficult to have a GIF that actually actively adds value in terms of your messaging, apart from getting the reader's attention. It's a limited amount of information that it can maybe communicate. So we just making sure that that everything that you do is relevant and that's justified, and if you can limit it. It does sound as though possibly most people are, so that's great. In this final section, it's just looking at how segmentation can really help support your sustainability. Is the old classic, sending the right message to the right people at the right time. It's possible for larger organizations that it's probable that you have a range of personas on your groups and segments on your profiles on your contact list. Generic messaging will be difficult to engage and motivate a significant proportion of your readers, and that represents wasted effort and energy. That there's statistics that show that the email blast and send is limited in its effectiveness. So segmentation, well, that's, as I said, creating segments or groups, and it's based on any data that you've got around behavior or demographic data, previous purchases, specific actions they might have taken. And then personalization for me is the other side of the coin, because it works in combination with your groups of segments. So you can tailor your offer, you can make those really relevant emails targeting your specific groups or segments. And we saw that it's really helpful if you can create those groups of segments. If you know you've got a multifaceted set of audiences, you've got a multifaceted offer with a variety of audiences. It's great if you can establish the relationship and the interests of your individuals contacts right at the start. For sustainability, we know we're looking to send more relevant contact, not that one size fits all. So obviously segmentation and personalization really works for that. We want to avoid the trap, sending frequent generic emails which overwhelm the reader. They waste time, they waste energy. In this last section, I've just picked out a few tactics or examples that I hope will inspire you to, because each organization or individual business will have their own strengths and their own things, aspects that they can draw upon or data that they can draw upon to make a meaningful set of email comms. I hope this will inspire you. A couple of things that you take away and just think, oh, we might be able to adapt that to our own set of circumstances, and do get in touch to talk about it. So the first one was getting your relationship right. That's a little bit reference to that strategic alignment. But also in this case with, I'm afraid it is the watershed again. They have put themselves in their audience's shoes. They've actually thought about, well, we're a cinema, we've got a high turnover of events. How often do people actually want to hear from us, though? So they've offered a what's on weekly, what's on monthly, so that you can choose the frequency of emails that you receive. They've also singled out families, because that tends to be a yes, no. So you either want to hear about family programming, or you're not in that zone. So they also wanted to target people who might benefit from hearing about the accessible program. And finally, they've separated out their support fundraising messaging. So I think what they've done there is they've really thought about what is it, what would be meaningful in terms of communications, so getting that relationship right. I really liked this example from, I've been a blood donor for quite a long time, and they've recently moved everything online. That's great. The thanks you receive was an email, and then they've gone one step further. They've used the data that they have on my behavior and then on the journey that the blood donation actually goes on. So they've actually told me where my blood donation has gone. And I thought about it, and it's data that they've got, is sitting there. Does it make me feel more engaged? Well, yes, I think it does, because ultimately it gives me a reason for why I'm a volunteer and will carry on donating. And it's great to think that it's been useful. So it's a really nice bit of engagement from information that they collect anyway. Another example has been the Spotify Wrapped. These are not my profile, but they did get us all talking, and again, data that they have in their system to tell me something, to tell individuals who have signed up to Spotify something more about themselves that's very, very personal, and that people found fascinating. And it also, I'm afraid I'm going to use it for, it also generated word of mouth, because we were all talking about what they told us in these, by simply tracking what we'd done over the year with Spotify, what that individual had done over the year. And we compared notes. My last example is an example from Front Room Theatre in Weston-super-Mare. And just, are there things that you can, this example, they'd actually invited their contacts to create a dialogue, to join their independent decision makers panel. So it won't be relevant for everybody, but it really makes the audience feel valued, that their opinion is valued. And there will be some people who will have come forward as a result of that. It feels very personal. It feels like meaningful engagement. It feels like there's a dialogue there. And so all of these things, when we're looking at quality over quantity, and creating better engagement, but with better quality emails, where there's been reflection on what assets do you have, what information do you have, how could you connect with your audiences in a meaningful way that is also sustainable. So what we've covered today, we've looked at improving digital sustainability through contact list hygiene, creating lighter emails by design, and leaning into segmentation and personalization, and looking at ways of making that some different ways that organizations have approached that, to see if that provides any inspiration of things that you might not be doing yet. I'm just going to, the overall approach for email marketing, it does feel like quality over quantity. I think that feels like each step, that's what we're looking for. It would be great if sustainability could be, and could have made the progress that accessibility has, in terms of being one of the first considerations in our decision making for any activity, starting with email marketing, but extending to digital marketing, extending beyond that. So putting sustainability first in your strategy, that's what I think. I hope that that's what's come across today, because it's got lots of benefits. Um, um, I'm just going to flag up a couple of articles that Andy Leach, website tech champion, and myself, we've both written 10 ways to make your, mine is 10 ways to make your email marketing more sustainable, and Andy's is 10 ways to make your website more sustainable. And hopefully Dean's just going to put links to those articles in the chat. And then finally, just as always, just to say, our door's always open. Please do get in touch. So you can contact us at any time. Obviously, myself, I love to talk to you about sustainable email marketing, but I did think also about my colleagues, the team. So some obvious sort of other tech champions who may be useful to you. With James, you could look at your stats for your website, see what people, that strategic alignment, what are people coming to your website for, and see how that could feed into your email marketing strategy to make it more sustainable, to make it more relevant. If you're looking for greater audience information that you don't have currently, Jack is a great starting point for collecting data, or and particularly through surveys. So looking at that, and of course, Dean can help you with crafting some great content that's relevant to your audiences. So, and you've met him today in our webinar. So we also have, just so that you know, some upcoming webinars. There's Andy, our website tech champion. He's going to be focusing on design essentials to boost engagement and conversion. That's in February, 25th of February. And on the 12th of March, Dean's going to be running a webinar on social media content without the cringe. So storytelling for arts and culture. So you're obviously welcome to register for those. Dean's putting in the link to the relevant page on our website, so you can sign up to them. And please do tune into our latest podcasts. Monica's been looking at the impact of AI on website search and visibility. And James is talking about streamlining your cultural data. So both of those fascinating listens when you have time. Okay, so please don't forget to get in touch with us. There's lots of different ways. Dean, are you there? We can perhaps fit in a few questions.
Yeah, hello everyone. In a second, I'll just get the link over to the podcast. I couldn't copy and paste quick enough, I'm afraid. we've got quite a few questions. Some of them came in at the very beginning, which you may have covered later on. But I remember you spoke about how email is preferred over social media because you get to keep hold of the data. And I feel like Katie's asked this question. She says, what kind of data are we in charge of? And I'm assuming that's like all of the mailing lists and things like that you've got access to. So if Meta or whoever decides they suddenly want to change their business model and prevent you to, or put it behind a paywall, that doesn't affect you because you have all of that data in your email marketing list. Is that right?
Yes. So the idea is, because with email, they've signed up with their contact email. Hopefully they've done some other behaviors that you can track and add to their record. And that, yeah, effectively, that's what you're in control of. It's all yours. Whereas, yes, it's true that with the social media platforms, they retain the key customer contact information. And of course, and they control that. And you're right, Dean, if you walk away from a social media platform because you don't have time, or you don't decide, various issues with it, then you walk away with nothing, sadly, because all the customer relationship is managed by the social media platform. So it is a risk to your business.
Yeah, definitely. So our other questions were from Ruby. With nuclear bot filtering applied to our MailChimp results, it's now a lot clearer that a lot less people are opening our message than we thought. We would like to get rid of a large part of our audience that haven't opened our emails. Is there a best way to go about this and not remove real openers? Ignore
Yeah.
this if it was answered later on in the whilst typing. So yeah. Oh,
So
bless
what
you.
I'd suggest is it'd be great if Ruby could get in touch and we just double check that that they're targeting the right people. And what I always suggest with targeting your lapsed and disengaged contacts is just do it in phases, so that although Hall for Cornwall had an automation set up, that was based on I think prior to that they'd been testing where that point of disengagement is in terms of time, and also just you wouldn't what you want to be making sure is that you are freshening your data, as it were, so you are growing at the same time as you're pruning back. So like any good gardener, if you focus too much on the cutting back, you'll be left with it's true, a quality list, but you want to make sure that you are, because of that data decay factor, you need to be making sure that you are growing new fresh contacts and really getting that right as well.
Then a follow-up question: if you segment your audience, can you still send them the stuff outside of the things they ticked that they were interested in? So say, for instance, if you had multiple different services or different programs going on, could you still market those people if they'd if they hadn't said they were interested in that?
I think there's quite a bit of leeway in that. But what you're trying to do with the segment is make sure that they are very distinct. So ideally, you're trying to make sure. So the way most sign-up forms that I've seen do it is that they say, I'm interested in, and that means that it doesn't mean that you're saying you're only going to send them, because GDPR is all about transparency. As long as you're not putting in your form as a business that you're only going to send them that, but you're just saying, please let us know your interests, then that's not actually, you're not saying what you're going to do with that information. So there's no, although you might set up an expectation, you're not bound by it in that way that GDPR might. If you put we will only send you a monthly newsletter. Sometimes you see that in sign up forms, and that means you wonder then, well, what if you want to send something else? Isn't that going to be so tight that you're just not going to be able to send them other emails
You've
without
painted yourself into a corner, haven't
a
you?
little
Really?
bit, boxed
Yeah.
yourself into a corner? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's the sort of thing that you can help people with a one-to-one, I assume. Is that?
Yes, yeah. I think each so especially the segmentation, sometimes that's quite difficult because you're really looking for very distinct segments so that you can have full confidence. And of course, you can reference your other activity and see if people click on it and that sort of thing. You can make sure you can test it that way, make sure it's robust. But ideally, you'd get the segments right at the start where they're really quite clearly differentiated.
Uh-huh.
And
This is
also, they're not always mutually exclusive, are they? That's the other problem is,
yeah.
so you might click several of the boxes. So you just need to keep that in mind as well, because that can become overly complex if you've got too many choices.
Yeah. Right. Our board is worried about reporting on a big loss in subscribers. For our reporting, is there a tool to track the sustainability of the list, e.g., prove we've lost subscribers for a good reason?
So there's EcoSend actually have you can quantify your carbon footprint with your email. I can include it in the follow-up
Yep.
email. It's that thing about, sadly, email isn't I hope that came across, that email marketing, whilst collectively it is a significant carbon footprint, individually it's quite tricky to get that differentiation. I played around with the EcoSend email marketing tool and tracking your carbon footprint, and making, you had to make really huge changes to have a big impact on your carbon footprint in terms of your list. So, cutting 5,000 subscribers is not going to do it, but that might have a big impact on your business. So again, it depends on your individual circumstances. I think if you can if you can demonstrate that the people that you targeted never opened, never clicked because they
Yeah.
never opened for over extended period of time using, because every record that's set up has a date of when it's been created. Every record you should be able to track whether people track people's activity. If you can evidence that, then I think your board would be more sympathetic. And
Yeah.
also, if you then say to tackle the fact that we are getting rid of these inactives, but this is what we're doing for growth, then you've got those. You're shown to being proactive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got a few minutes, maybe a couple of minutes left. So I'm going to ask this one, which is: would you recommend any specific provider in terms of sustainability? We use currently Mailchimp, well, at the moment. So is there any particular one, or are they all kind of the same?
So EcoSend is the only one that's actually sort of nailed its colours to the mast. I think that's
Uh-huh.
the saying, where it's actually said it puts sustainability first. But a lot of the people I speak to are very price sensitive in terms of email service provider. So it does depend. It does depend on what you're trying to achieve. What I'd suggest is if you're looking to change, quite a few of the email service providers do that thing where as you grow your list, sadly costs can escalate. So that's and I have seen a rise in prices generally across the board. So just seeing, get in touch and let's see if for your circumstances we can find something a little bit more economic,
Yeah.
or that fits your purpose, and do a comparison with EcoSend. Let's have a look. Let's see
Okay.
what they say.
We've got quite a few questions left. Things about video, it seems to come up quite a bit as well. So they're quite in depth, and I'm mindful of the sort of time you've got left. So would you be able to provide answers in a follow-up after this? What can people expect when the webinar's finished?
Of course, what we'll do is we'll have a look at the questions and yes, and we can put them in the follow-up email that and see if we can find some answers for you.
There's some great
So,
questions. There's about another 10 to go. So I'm going to
okay.
stop there and let you wrap up. But yeah, we'll get round to those. So your questions haven't gone to waste. We'll do a deep dive answer on those.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks for your help. And and thanks to everybody who's attended today, and for those who've put in questions. We will, if you haven't had your question answered now, we will seek to send it out in our follow up. And here's our get in touch contact details in case you need them. Thanks very much, everyone.